What is up, guys? Clinter here, and today I'll be making a tier list for March 2024. And before we get into it, real quick, a few disclaimers. Number one, this tier list will be based on a unit's 14-star performance only. This is mainly to keep it consistent as well as to kind of keep it close to my own experience. And yeah, number two, this is more so a subjective experience. I'm a top 300 God rank player, so based on where you're at in PvP, you might feel different about it. Also, you might feel different because I've used all these units at higher stars, whereas, if you barely face the unit, barely use the unit yourself, or only faced or used them at lower stars, you might not have the same experience. So yeah, let's get right into it. Firstly, at number 10, I have Zenkai Green Cooler. He's an absolutely fantastic Zenkai, and alright, I'm just kidding, of course. But this number 10 spot is going to shock y'all nonetheless. So at number 10, I have Bardock and Goku. Now, this is a big drop. They were arguably top 2, top 3 when Super 17 dropped. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. Ultra Gohan just counters them way too much. Firstly, with Ultra Gohan's gauge, of course, it's a melee type counter. Bardock and Goku, everything they do is kind of melee based. Their strikes, as well as their special move, which is a big source of their damage, melee as well. And yeah, just utilizing them effectively relies a lot on their blast armor. And guess what? Ultra Gohan doesn't care about that, and he makes other units not care about it either. So yeah, they're just kind of extremely countered right now by Ultra Gohan, and also they're just kind of do things worse than Ultra Gohan himself. Like the green card, it's still an AoE green card, but it's just worse because it's such an extremely long animation. And yeah, kind of just fallen down, let's just say that. But anyways, moving on, as you can see, the number 8 or 9 spot is a shared spot. And yeah, these units are pretty similar in value right now. So we have LF Cell and LF Jiren. Now, both these units can essentially be run with Super 17 as well as MVP. That's pretty much their go-to team at the moment, and they provide a lot of value. Jiren is more defensive, he's able to eat more hits, possible endurance as well, whereas Cell is definitely more offensive. That gauge that Cell has is just ridiculous, even to this day. And the green cards, of course. So, you can put them equally. If I was forced to give a slight edge to either unit, it would be to the LF Cell. But aside from that, I'd pretty much rank them evenly in terms of their value right now. And alright, so at number 7. Number 7, we have the big boy, LF Baby. Now, this might shock a lot of you. I'm guessing a lot of you have barely faced LF Baby, or if you faced him, it's going to be at low stars or used him at low stars. So you probably don't know how good this guy is at 14 stars. Let me tell you, he's saved me in a ton of matches. His gauge disrupt easily stops Super 17 combos several times, and the lock-in ult has nuked an Ultra Gohan several times as well. So yeah, you can't really get this guy's value right now, especially if you don't have him at high stars. And in the current meta, with red green being rampant everywhere, it's kind of difficult for him to perform offensively. So his value is fairly hidden, and I won't be surprised if I get a lot of interesting comments based on that. Alright, so let's keep it going. At number 6, I have Ultra UI Goku. Now, Ultra UI Goku has again fallen a fair bit. He's mainly just struggling to keep up with the top 2 and top 3 units. Just unable to perform as well, especially given that the current meta is filled with double red teams. And he's still able to do well. You can run him with Bardock and Goku, as well as even possibly Pycon, and still get some wins, but Super 17 just destroys him and his team as a whole. So yeah, not quite much else to say there. Like, you can still get the lock-in. It's not as crazy, some Jirens even live the lock-in ult, so it's hard to really say. I think his value has just dropped, and there are better units suited to be paired with the top 2 units. On to number 5, and you may have seen this guy a lot, Zenkai Revival Cell. Now, I have a few things to say about this guy. Essentially, his individual performance, if you completely isolated him as a unit, I'd say Heat Dome Trunks is arguably better. But it's just the fact that he provides an extra Zenkai buff to Super 17, as well as that defensive utility with the revival, the debuffs, sub-count reduction, all make him extremely valuable right now. And yeah, you'll be seeing this guy paired up with Super 17 in a ton of PvP matches, so there's not much else to say about him. His post-revival state is fairly strong. He can do some damage pre-revival, but he's not exactly able to eat a lot of hits. And yeah, his essentially the synergy with the best team, or the best units in the game, is what puts him at this spot. Alright, number 4. Now, this one, again, might be a little odd for you guys, but I'm putting Beast Gohan there. Now, Beast Gohan, he's kind of slightly aged, I'd say. Not as much as the other festival units like UI Goku or Evo Ken especially. But yeah, he's only really optimal on a pure hybrids team. You run him with Ultra Gohan, you run him with Pan or Bulla, and he's still able to put in a solid amount of work. I just think that team is not quite as good as the other red-red-green variant with Ultra Gohan and Super 17. And yeah, he's also strike based, so he's got to deal with Ultra Gohan's shenanigans as usual. But yeah, he's still a great unit, which is why he's in this top 4 spot. Alright, number 3. And yeah, again, this one as well might be a shock to a lot of you, but it's Spirit Bomb Goku. Now again, I'm just reminding y'all this is 14-star performance. You may have faced a Spirit Bomb Goku at lower stars and found him fairly unimpressive, or used him at lower stars and felt the same. But this guy at 14 stars is the only unit that can tank well in the current meta. And by tanking, I mean tanking Super 17, possibly even Ultra Gohan. And yeah, he's just a wall. He has a solid amount of offensive ability as well. He has the Ultra Super Janemba cover null when he enters the field. He has his main ability and ultimate, which gets stronger and can essentially finish out a match, which you may lose in some circumstances. And yeah, there's not much else you can say about him. When you pair him up with Super 17 or even Ultra Gohan, the value just increases a ton. The team has an extra layer of defensive ability, and I think you're missing out on a lot when you don't run him. So yeah, for those reasons, I put him at number 3. And let's move on. So you guys might have an idea who the top 2 units are, you know. Just may have seen them a bit in PvP. So yeah, of course, it's these two, Ultra Gohan, Super 17. And they're so strong and so far ahead of the rest of the team. Honestly, I could put both of them here, and that would be completely reasonable. But they're so ahead of every other unit that, you know, the rest of the tier list is essentially molded to what is best to run with them and what complements them the most. But yeah, these two guys, absolutely ridiculous. Ultra Gohan's everything he's doing, his gauge, the counter, green card, and his potential as a last man standing unit is by far the best in the game. Like, no other unit competes with last man standing Ultra Gohan. And when it comes to Super 17, do I even need to say anything? His gauge is ridiculous, one of the most busted gauges ever. The fact that the damage stacks continue for such a long time, the fact that he just gets more and more impressive if you switch out. He can just destroy teams from the moment the game begins. Like, you can almost stand no chance. And yeah, it essentially comes down to, do you prefer the early to mid game domination from Super 17, you know, just destroying teams, or do you prefer the extra power that last man standing Gohan has, which is again very dominant, insanely strong? And to me, it really comes down to the fact that you can massively create that gap with Super 17 early, you know, just take out 1 to 2 units, no problem. And for that reason, I would put Super 17 at number 1. So just slightly better. I think this is the closest 1 to 2 we've ever had in the game, so I can't really disagree if you put Ultra Gohan over. So, but in my opinion, Super 17 is just a smidge better. And yeah, so that's the top 10. Again, just reminding you guys, the performance is gauged at 14 stars, with units like Spirit Bomb Goku and LF Baby this performance varies a lot based on the stars you have. A 3-star baby or a 3-star Ultra Spirit Bomb Goku is not able to do nearly as much as what they would be able to do at higher stars. Whereas with units like Super 17 or Ultra Gohan, you know, they can do close to what they can do at higher stars, even at lower stars. So just keep that in mind. That's where, you know, you may feel a bit different to what is shown on the tier list here. So yeah, that's the top 10. I have some honorable mentions here. This is in no specific order. This is mostly just a couple of units I thought that would be helpful to mention. So let me start off with these two right here. Oh, okay, that's not quite it. All right, I don't know why that's happening, but sure. These two guys, so LF Pycon and LF Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Now, both these units are still fairly competent. You can still run Pycon with Barku and UI and win a decent amount of matches. You can run G4 on GT and win a decent amount of matches as well. But mostly what's holding them back is the fact that there's better units and that they simply aren't optimal to run with either Ultra Gohan or Super 17. That's as simple as I can make it out to be. You just want the units that best pair with Ultra Gohan and Super 17. Now, Baby, you can run him with Super 17, and I do also believe Baby at 14 stars is a better alternative to G4 on a pure GT team. So that's why I have LF Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta right here, and Pycon as well for similar reasons. Alright, let's toss up these guys, Pan and Bulla. Now Pan, obviously, the red-red-green hybrid team, extremely valuable, just juicing up Ultra Gohan and Beast Gohan, so, you know, there's inherent value in that. She also provides that HP, Z ability, incredibly valuable. Bulla, honestly, you could arguably run her instead of Pan on the hybrid setup. I think she outperforms in terms of individual performance. However, of course, you're not getting that extra Zenkai ability on Bulla herself like you would with Pan, and also the ceiling of damage is higher with Pan. And aside from that, you can run Bulla on GT, where she's extremely valuable and can just buff up Super 17 even more. So yeah, those two supports definitely in the honorable mentions. Another two, well, let me just put them there. So LF MVP 17 and Goku and Frieza. Now LF MVP, it's pretty straightforward. You run him with Super 17 and, you know, another purple unit or whatever, and he's doing all the things he's been doing for over a year. The debuffs, his gauge, the cut penetration buffs, the damage buffs, endurance, everything. You know, he's the best utility unit in the game to this day, essentially, for the team overall. So yeah, you just run there. He still has incredible value. Goku and Frieza. Now this one, a bit of a controversial one. Some people have them in the top 10, which I find to be pretty absurd. Personally, I have tried them out in the meta, and I will admit they can shine in some matches against the Super 17 and Gohan teams. But again, that's a few matches. Most of the time, Ultra Gohan and Super 17 are going to decimate through the Goku Frieza teams, alright? That's just a fact. You got to outplay your opponent a ton as a Goku Frieza player. Otherwise, you'll just get stomped. And against any other team, their performance is far from optimal. Like, they're, you know, especially if you face an LF Baby at decent stars, you're going to get destroyed with the Goku Frieza team. So yeah, I'd say they have gained a bit of extra value given that the meta is how it is with red-green teams. Obviously their typing is going to help, but I think just in general, they're not quite there for top 10. They're, you know, decent, but not quite there. And finally, I thought I'd just mention these two, Android 16 and Code 17, the GT one. So Android 16, again, unfortunately, he came out with a disappointment of an LF in Super Vegeta, so not many people summoned for him, many people run him or know his value. Let me just say, he's incredibly valuable. You could run him along with Super 17 and Revival Cell, and he's going to do a lot. He gives 30% blast damage to Super 17, so just that in of itself is crazy. He has a ton of utility, draws green cards, is able to continue combos. restores vanish, seals rush, you know, I can go on and on, but his value is insane. And Code 17, I feel like, is an absolute downplayed hidden gem right now on GT. You run him with Super 17, and I think he can arguably be better than Bulla. Not only does he destroy Dragon Balls along with Super 17, which is just more synergy there, he provides more buffs eventually, and can just tank. He can eat a lot of hits because he has amazing equipment. And yeah, it's really hard to describe exactly, you know, his main ability is great. And okay, one thing I have to mention for sure is the green card. His green card is slept on big time. He nullifies endurance on green card. If you catch an Ultra Gohan is the main endurance unit running around right now, of course. If you pop that, they have to give up a unit regardless. So he can be very, very useful in some matches. And I think, you know, just for the sake of it, I'm going to put him at the top of honorable mentions because I think he is that much of a slept on option. So yeah, guys, that's the top 10 as well as honorable mentions tier list. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm sure some of you are gonna disagree with some of my picks here. And again, just keep the disclaimers in mind. 14-star performance. And yeah, I'll hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.